The Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to John. When Jesus finished praying, he began a brief journey with his disciples to the other side of the Kidron Valley, a deep ravine that floods in the winter rains, then farther on to a garden where he gathered his disciples. Judas Iscariot, who had already set his betrayal in motion and knew that Jesus often met with the disciples in this olive grove, entered the garden with an entourage of Roman soldiers and officials sent by the chief priests and Pharisees. They brandished their weapons under the light of torches and lamps. Jesus stepped forward. It was clear he was not surprised, because he knew all things.
Whom are you looking for?
Jesus of Nazareth.
I am.
Judas, the betrayer, stood with the military force. As Jesus spoke, "I am," the forces fell back on the ground. Jesus asked them a second time,
Whom are you searching for?
Jesus of Nazareth.
I have already said that I am. If you are looking for me, then let these men go.
This happened to fulfill the promise he made that none of those entrusted to him will be lost. Suddenly, Peter lunged toward Malchus, one of the high priest's servants, and with his sword, Peter severed the man's right ear.
Peter, put down your sword and return it to its sheath. Am I to turn away from the cup that my Father has given me to drink?
So the Roman commander, soldiers, and Jewish officials arrested Jesus, cuffed his hands and feet, and brought him to Annas, the father-in-law of Caiaphas, the high priest. You may remember that Caiaphas counseled the Jews that one should die for all the people. Simon Peter and another disciple followed behind Jesus. When they arrived, Peter waited in the doorway while the other disciple was granted access because of his relationship with the high priest. That disciple spoke to the woman at the door, and Peter was allowed inside.
You're one of this man's disciples, aren't you?
I am not.
All the servants and officers gathered around a charcoal fire to keep warm. It was a cold day, and Peter made his way into the circle to warm himself.
Who are your disciples, and what do you teach?
I have spoken in public where the world can hear, always teaching in the synagogue and in the temple where Jewish people gather. I have never spoken in secret. So why would you need to interrogate me? Many have heard me teach. Why don't you question them? They know what I have taught.
While Jesus offered his response, an officer standing nearby struck Jesus with his hand.
Is that how you speak to the high priest?
If I have spoken incorrectly, why don't you point out the untruths that I speak? Why do you hit me if what I have said is correct?
Annas sent Jesus to Caiaphas, bound as a prisoner. As this was happening, Peter was still warming himself by the fire.
You too are one of his disciples, aren't you?
No, I am not.
One of the high priest's servants, who was related to Malchus, the person Peter attacked and cut off his ear, recognized Peter.
Didn't I see you in the garden with him?
Peter denied it again, and instantly a rooster crowed. Before the sun had risen, Jesus was taken from Caiaphas to the governor's palace. The Jewish leaders would not enter the palace because their presence in a Roman office would defile them and cause them to miss the Passover feast. Pilate, the governor, met them outside.
What charges do you bring of this man?
If he weren't a lawbreaker, we wouldn't have brought him to you.
Then judge him yourself by your own laws.
Our authority does not allow us to give him the death penalty.
All these things were a fulfillment of the words Jesus had spoken, indicating the way that he would die. So Pilate re-entered the governor's palace and called for Jesus to follow him.
Are you the king of the Jews?
Are you asking me because you believe this is true, or is this what others have said about me?
I am not a Jew, am I? Your people, including your chief priests, have arrested you and placed you in my custody. What have you done?
My kingdom is not recognized in this world. If it were my kingdom, my servants would be fighting for my freedom. But my kingdom is not in this physical realm.
So you are a king?
You say that I am a king. For this I have been born, and for this I have come into the cosmos, to demonstrate the power of truth. Everyone who seeks truth hears my voice.
What is truth?
Pilate left Jesus to go and speak to the Jewish people.
I have not found any cause for charges to be brought against this man. Your custom is that I should release a prisoner to you each year in honor of the Passover celebration. Shall I release the King of the Jews to you?
No, not this man. Give us Barabbas.
Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted thorny branches together as a crown and placed it onto his brow and wrapped him in a purple cloth. They drew near to him, shouting,
"Bow down, everyone! This is the King of the Jews!"
Listen, I stand in front of you with this man to make myself clear. I find this man innocent of any crimes.
Then Jesus was paraded out before the people, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe.
Here is this man.
Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!
Take him and crucify him. I have declared him not guilty of any punishable crime.
Our law says that he should die because he claims to be the Son of God.
Pilate was terrified to hear the Jews making their claims for his execution, so he retired to his court, the Praetorium.
Where are you from?
Jesus did not speak.
How can you ignore me? Are you not aware that I have the authority either to free you or to crucify you?
Any authority you have over me comes from above, not from your political position. Because of this, the one who handed me to you is guilty of the greater sin.
Pilate listened to Jesus' words. Taking them to heart, he attempted to release Jesus, but the Jews opposed him, shouting,
"If you release this man, you have betrayed Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king threatens Caesar's throne."
After Pilate heard these accusations, he sent Jesus out and took his seat in the place where he rendered judgment. This place was called the Pavement, or Gabbatha in Hebrew. All this occurred at the 6th hour on the day everyone prepares for the Passover.
Look, here is your king.
Put him away, crucify him. Put him away, crucify him.
You want me to crucify your king?
We have no king but Caesar.
Pilate handed him over to his soldiers, knowing that he would be crucified. They sent Jesus out, carrying his own instrument of execution, the cross, to a hill known as the place of the skull, or Golgotha in Hebrew. In that place, they crucified him, along with 2 others, one on his right and the other on his left. Pilate ordered that a plaque be placed above Jesus' head. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." Because the site was near an urban region, it was written in 3 languages, Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, so that all could understand.
Don't write the King of the Jews. Write, "He said, I am the King of the Jews."
As Jesus was being crucified, the soldiers tore his outer garments into 4 pieces, one for each of them. They wanted to do the same with his tunic, but it was seamless, one piece of fabric woven from the top down. So they said,
"Don't tear it. Let's cast lots, and the winner will get to take the whole thing."
This happened in keeping with the Hebrew scriptures, which said, "They divided my outer garments and cast lots for my clothes." These soldiers did exactly what was foretold in the Hebrew scriptures. Jesus' mother was standing next to his cross along with her sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. Jesus looked to see his mother and the disciple he loved standing nearby.
"Dear woman, this is your son. This is now your mother."
From that moment, the disciple treated her like his own mother and welcomed her into his house. Jesus knew now that his work had been accomplished, and the Hebrew scriptures were being fulfilled.
"I am thirsty."
A jar of sour wine had been left there, so they took a hyssop branch with a sponge soaked in the vinegar and put it to his mouth. When Jesus drank, he spoke.
"It is finished."
In that moment, his head fell, and he gave up the spirit. The Jews asked Pilate to have their legs broken so the bodies would not remain on the crosses on the Sabbath. It was the day of preparation for the Passover, and that year the Passover fell on the Sabbath. The soldiers came and broke the legs of both the men crucified next to Jesus. When they came up to Jesus' cross, they could see that he was dead, so they did not break his legs. Instead, one soldier took his spear and pierced his abdomen, which brought a gush of blood and water. This testimony is true. In fact, it is an eyewitness account, and he has reported what he saw so that you may also believe. It happened this way to fulfill the Hebrew scriptures, that not one of his bones shall be broken. And the Hebrew scriptures also say, they will look upon him whom they pierced. After all this, Joseph of Arimathea, a disciple who kept his faith a secret for fear of the Jewish officials, made a request to Pilate for the body of Jesus. Pilate granted his request, and Joseph retrieved the body. Nicodemus, who first came to Jesus under the cloak of darkness, brought over 100 pounds of myrrh and ointments for his burial. Together they took Jesus' body and wrapped him in linens soaked in essential oils and spices, according to Jewish burial customs. Near the place he was crucified, there was a garden with a newly prepared tomb. Because it was the day of preparation, they arranged to lay Jesus in the tomb so they could rest on the Sabbath.